attendees will be muted. We do, however, have panelists available if you do have questions that arise during the presentation, that you can chat questions in and the questions will be answered. Now, your questions will be answered to the entire audience so that everyone can see. And at the end of our presentation, we will have time for questions. And at that time, we have a hand raising feature where you can raise your hand, we'll unmute the microphone so that you can answer a question, and we'll put aside about 30 minutes at the end of the presentation to answer those questions. So we are scheduled to start at 9 a.m. So we have just a few more moments before that kicks off. And if anyone is having any problems hearing the audio, if you could chat in, or if you're having any technical difficulties, just chat those in to us so that we can do what we can assist you with that. Those technical issues that are right. All right. Well, welcome everyone to the Open Dental Basics webinar this morning. We are scheduled to meet this morning for an hour. And during this time, we are going to cover just a basic introduction to Open Dental. This 1-hour training will let users see the basic functionality of Open Dental, and we'll be taking a sample patient through a typical first visit. So during this training, we will schedule an appointment. We'll attach procedures to the appointment. We'll set those procedures complete, treatment plan procedures, add any notes, any clinical notes to that treatment. We will create a claim and print a walkout statement. And so on the screen, you'll see that after this training, you should be able to perform the following actions. So you should be able to select different modules within Open Dental and understand the purpose of each of these modules. You'll be able to select and add new patients, edit patient information, add a new insurance plan and see where to enter the benefit information, select an existing insurance plan for a new patient to avoid duplicating plans, save and print your treatment plans, make, break, delete, and set complete appointments, know where to find your appointment list, find the patient and family level balances in the account module, enter your patient payments and adjustments, print walkout statements, have an understanding of basic charting, know that default procedure notes, quick paste notes, and order notes exist, attach procedures to an appointment, and be able to know how to remove those procedures, set your appointments complete near the beginning of an appointment, and edit your procedure status. So with this in mind, we're going to go ahead and minimize the screen, and we'll have Open Dental running in the background. So this is your appointment module of Open Dental. This will be the screen that launches when you open up the program. The screen can be customized to different operatories depending on your practice. And at the top of your operatories, we have the providers that are assigned for that operatory. The colors are also customizable. This red bar that runs down the appointment screen indicates the time, and that gives you just a visual indication of where you are throughout the day. So to add a patient in Open Dental, we use our select patients. The first thing that Open Dental asks you to do is to search for that patient. And the reason we do that is just so we avoid duplicate entries. So after searching for my patient, there is no patient available. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add a patient. To add a patient, we've got the Add Patient button, which allows you to add patients individually. We also have an Add Many. The Add Many allows you to add an entire family member, a family at the same time, up to 5 family members. You do have the ability to add additional family members elsewhere. This is just to keep this screen concise. I'm going to go ahead and instead add just an individual patient, and that brings up my Edit Patient Information screen. When I search for my patient, I have the ability to search by name, address, phone number, patient number, etc. But when it comes to adding a patient, only the last and first name will translate across from the search screen. So if you are going, and I'll hit cancel for a minute, if you were searching by first and last name and also state, for example, when I add patient, only the first and last name come across and there's no state that will. So just keep that in mind. So a lot of these fields are self-explanatory. You've got your patient name. If they have any preference in name, any salutations or titles that you need to add, you can add those. And patient status will default to patient. You may need to add patients as non-patients. And this is typically for accounting reasons. Any parties that are responsible for accounts that need statements addressed to them or insurance subscribers will be entered as non-patients into the system, just so you have a record of them, but they're not coming up in your regular patient report. With the birth dates, OpenDental formats birth dates automatically. You don't need to add slashes and dashes, and automatically calculates the age for you. You can record social security numbers, Medicaid IDs, email addresses, and a whole variety of contact methods. You also do have the ability to set contact preferences. In the address field, after tabbing from the address, it takes me straight to the zip code. And the reason for this is we do have the ability to store commonly used zip codes into the system, and it will automatically populate the city and state, just saving a little bit of typing time. You can also assign a billing type for your patient if you wanted to filter out their statements or billing in any special way. And preloaded into the system is standard accounts, bad debt pre-collections, and bad debt center collections. But these are also customizable. You can set the primary provider for the patient, and if they have any preferred secondary providers, any preferred hygienists that they prefer to work with, you could also indicate that. And when I hit OK, it's going to go ahead and create my patient. At the top of the OpenDental screen, in Windows 8 it shows in the middle, but most other operating systems it will show on the left-hand side. It's showing that I'm in the demo database. I'm logged in as the admin user. The patient I'm working with at this particular moment is Thomas Biggs, and the patient number is 143. Now this patient number is just a unique numerical identifier that OpenDental assigns, and that will become the patient's number within the program. So we're working with Thomas Biggs, and each one of these modules on the left-hand side belongs to him. So this is his family module, it's his account, his treatment plan, and his chart. To schedule an appointment for a patient, there's two ways to do so. The first way is you can choose the time at which you wish to schedule, double-click from 9:10 here. It's going to verify the patient that you want to schedule, and we hit OK, and my edit appointment screen is going to show. To schedule procedures for this appointment, we've got appointment procedure quick adds in the middle column, and these are just procedures that aren't typically treatment plans for patients, however are commonly performed. It's things like your exams, your x-rays, your prophies. These can be quickly added to an appointment just by clicking the line entries. So this top one is a comp exam, 4 bite wings, peno, prophy, and fluoride, and when I click, it's going to attach those procedures on the right-hand side to be performed in this appointment. On the left-hand side of the screen, after I attach the procedures, the time automatically calculated for this appointment, and each of these boxes indicates a 10-minute increment. And so this time is scheduled to be 80 minutes long for this appointment. Now you can use the slider on the left-hand side to increase the time or decrease the time to fit the the time that the appointment's going to take. These pink sections here, these pink bars, these indicate the time that the provider is slotted to spend with the patient. And so you can change those at any time by just clicking on those as well. So the white would be the intake assistant processing time, and the pink is the time that the provider is spending with the patient. At the bottom of this screen, the patient information will show. We're going to have the patient's name, date of birth, and any other pertinent information. If the patient had a balance, it would show as well. And then you've also got the fee for the appointment. So this will help any of your offices that are trying to meet production goals just to be able to track exactly how much each appointment should be producing. On the lower left of the screen, there is the section for an appointment note, and these will show on the appointment. So if the patient's experiencing pain in their upper left, we can indicate that. If there's anything else that you just want to be very visible, you can add it to the appointment note and hit OK. So now we've got that our patient is on the schedule. When I hover over the appointment, I do get a pop-up with that information. We've got the procedures showing with the comp exam, bite wings, peno, prophy fluoride, and we do have pain in the upper left there. The other way that you can schedule an appointment is on the right-hand side of our screen. We do have the ability to make appointments. When I click Make Appointment, OpenDental will bring up an appointment list if there are any appointments that need attention. So patients may have planned appointments, scheduled appointments, unscheduled appointments that you may want to recycle. So this screen will come up, and otherwise we can create a new appointment and the same edit appointment screen will show. The procedures that we've attached to the other appointment were treatment planned by adding them with this list, and so they're now showing in this section, and instead of being able to be attached, it is indicating that they are attached to another appointment. And so just to indicate, I'm going to just do a limited exam and a PA, and when I hit OK this time, I've created this appointment, but it's putting my appointment on the right-hand side on the pin board. So when you make an appointment, it doesn't schedule it anywhere on the appointment book until you drag it across and place it on the schedule. OpenDental will prompt you if you try and schedule into another provider's operatory and ask you if you want to change the provider. If you say yes, it will change the color associated with that appointment and the provider attached. This appointment is not necessary, so I'm going to go ahead and delete it. And to delete an appointment, we have a few ways of doing that as well. The first way is when I've got my appointment highlighted. On the right-hand side, we have our red X down the bottom. And by hitting that X, it's going to prompt us and ask us if we want to delete that appointment. The same thing can be achieved by right-clicking and deleting on the appointment. Lastly, if I double-click into the appointment, on the lower right-hand side, we also have a delete button. So you have 3 ways of deleting appointments. You also have different actions that you can perform on appointments. We have the ability to break appointments. So if a patient doesn't show or cancels their appointment, I've highlighted this appointment in Bruce's operatory in blue here. And to break that appointment, again, using these buttons on the right-hand side, we have this button that has a blue box with a cross through it. So to break an appointment, we click that button, and OpenDental will prompt you to add an adjustment to the patient's account. And so this will post into their account module, and you do have the ability, if you do have a broken appointment fee, to add that to the patient's account as well. But even if you add it as a no-charge fee, when you send out statements, the broken appointment no-show adjustment will be added so that the patients understand that you are tracking those appointments. And then we hit OK. Broken appointments do remain on the appointment book. And so once you've broken an appointment and added the adjustment to the patient's account, if you wanted to clear up and still be able to track this appointment, we can send that appointment to the unscheduled list. So right above the broken appointment button is our unscheduled list button. And by clicking on this, OpenDental will again prompt you, if you want to do this, to send to the unscheduled list. And when we hit OK, that appointment is removed from the schedule and sent to the unscheduled list. So that appointment list is in the upper right-hand corner next to our printer icon. There is a list button above our calendar. We click on this. These lists give you the ability to track different appointments. And we encourage officers to use these lists to build their practice. So you can track your recalls, you can track your appointments for confirmations, you can track planned appointments, and then you've got your unscheduled. So your unscheduled list lists all the patients that have cancelled their appointment for one reason or another and need follow-up. Now, ideally, this list should be short. You should be ideally getting through this and rescheduling these patients as quickly as possible. And here we have that patient that we cancelled from today. And so we've got him showing up that he was cancelled from today's date with these procedures. And in a few days, hopefully we'd be giving them a call and see if we can't get him back on the schedule. The last list that we had there was our ASAP list. We do have the ability to indicate on an appointment the ASAP, and what that will indicate, I double click, and I come down to status here, and you can change it to ASAP. And that's for those patients that are scheduled in the future. However, if an opening arises sooner, they would like to come in and be seen as quickly as possible. So it's kind of like a shortfall list. So by giving a patient the status of ASAP, they'll populate into the lists and the ASAP list, and we'll have those patients that would like to come in sooner. So if you have someone that calls in to cancel and you have an opening in your schedule, you could then come to your lists ASAP, find a patient that needs to come in and offer that position up to them to see if you can't move them forward. So now that we have our patient scheduled, we're going to go ahead and track the confirmation of this patient. So in the upper right-hand corner, we do have confirmation circles. So this appointment at the moment is unconfirmed. So I have a red circle indicating that my patient, this appointment's unconfirmed. Now these colors, as well as the statuses that I'm going through, are also customizable. And over here on the right-hand side, you can see that this appointment is unconfirmed. To confirm this appointment, I'm going to confirm, and that's going to change the bubble to green. When the patient arrives in the practice, we can mark the patient that they've arrived. And in addition to changing the confirmation status, the patient will also populate into the waiting room. It can take about 20 seconds for that patient to show up, but we track just how long the patient is waiting. So you can collect those waiting room statistics if needed, or if you're just interested in making sure that patients aren't sitting out there for a long amount of time, you do have that feature. Now we all understand that patient arriving is a little bit different to a patient being ready to go back. So we need to go ahead and probably get some paperwork filled in and collect some insurance information. We do have forms built into the program for the patients to fill out, and again, these are also customizable. So up under forms, I'm going to go and add, I'm going to have the patient fill in a HIPAA form. I hit OK, it's going to populate that information, and these forms do have the ability to automatically generate patient information as well as today's date. We do have the ability to sign digitally on our forms, and when we hit OK, it's going to log the paperwork that we've filled in. This form will also show in other parts of OpenDental, and I'll point those out as we go along. We also need to add insurance for our patient, and insurance will be added under the family module. So if we come to family module, we have over here on the right-hand side our insurance plan screen. Now in the family module, in addition to adding insurance information, recall is tracked, the family relationships will be tracked, and this is where the patient information can be edited and changed if needed. So to edit patient information, you can double click, and that will bring up that edit patient information screen that we saw earlier when we added a patient. So you can always come into the family module to do a review of the patient information if needed. To add insurance for a patient, we do have an add insurance button, and to add, it's simply click. It is going to ask if the patient is a subscriber or not, and if not, you can go ahead and choose subscriber, but in this case, just for simplicity, we're going to go ahead and say yes. To add an insurance, we highly recommend that you use pick from list. When you pick from list, you do have the ability to search by employer and by carrier, but it will list all the insurance plans that you have on file, and this is going to save you time, and it's also going to avoid duplicate entries of insurance plans. So by picking a insurance plan already in the system, it's going to automatically populate all of the insurance information. If you needed to change benefit information, on the right-hand side, you can double-click and you can indicate the coverage amounts for each of the categories. You've also got the ability to add an annual max and a general deductible. And if there's any limitations such as fluoride, bite wings limitations, Peno FMX limitations, and exam limitations, you can indicate that. We hit OK. And so when I hit OK, first I need to add a subscriber ID. This patient is now insured. So an insured patient will have insurance plans listed. And so you've got the ability to add primary. You can also, using the same method, add another insurance. I'm going to do a new plan and pick from list. I'm going to add a secondary insurance and hit OK. And this patient is now dual insured. If a patient is not covered by an insurance any longer, open up the insurance plan and drop that insurance. So OpenDental, we don't delete insurances, but when a patient's no longer covered by an insurance plan, we drop that insurance and that relationship is archived. And so now that secondary plan we had just a moment ago automatically moves across to the primary plan. So we've added our paperwork and forms, we've got our insurance information added, and you may need to scan an insurance card into the system. So under images, we do have the ability to scan into these folders. So you would highlight your insurance folder, and then you have your scan button, so you can scan a single page, or you can scan multiple pages. And you're not limited to just insurance plans here, insurance cards. If you had medical history paperwork that you have on paper that you wanted to bring in, or you had even anything that pertains to a patient, even x-rays could come in. But this is just, it's like a document center for this patient. So everything in these folders belongs to this patient. And it's just anything, either pictures or paperwork that you wanted to bring in. You also do, under patient pictures, have the ability to import a patient picture. So if you do take pictures of your patients and want to associate them with your appointments, you can add under patient pictures. We touch back up onto the appointment module now. Our appointment in the upper right hand corner, in addition to our confirmation bubble, is also showing an eye in that square, and that indicates that this patient has insurance. So you can visually see that this patient is insured. And so now we've done our paperwork, we've got all of our information into the family module, and this patient is ready to go back. So to indicate the patient is ready, we can highlight our patient ready. It's going to change our color once more. And when the patient is finally escorted into the operatory, we can change their status to in room, and that will take the patient out of the waiting room. Now, with the patient in the chair, we're going to move down into the chart. So the chart module has a lot of information, and when we first come in, the first thing that I like to point out is on the right-hand side in our progress notes, we do have an appointment line entry and particular procedures that are showing in yellow. Anything showing in yellow, highlighted in yellow, is treatment planned or is scheduled to take place today. So even as this chart does fill up, you'll be able to very easily recognize just what you're scheduled to do today, and you'll be able to pull it out of whatever's listed in the chart. So in our chart, we do have our 3D graphical tooth chart.